The bridge of the Dauntless was quiet except for the soft beeping of monitors. Captain Hansol Kim sat in his command chair, drinking cold coffee and reading reports. It was another boring day in deep space. His crew had been patrolling the Outer Rim territories for 3 months now. Nothing ever happened out here. That was the point. Humans were supposed to stay away from the important parts of the galaxy. Hansol was 47 years old and tired. He had been a starship captain for 15 years. In all that time, the Galactic Assembly had treated humans like dangerous animals that needed to be watched. They called his people Deathworlders. It was not a compliment. It meant humans came from a deadly planet and were too violent, too aggressive, too unpredictable to be trusted. He understood why. Earth was a nightmare compared to most alien homeworlds. Higher gravity, extreme weather, predators everywhere, diseases that killed without mercy. Humans had to be tough just to survive childhood. But Hansol wished the aliens could see past their fear. His crew were good people. They just wanted to be treated fairly. The quietness broke when Jiwoo Park suddenly sat up straight at her communication station. She was 28, brilliant at her job, and had excellent instincts. When she got excited about something, Hansol paid attention. "Captain, I am picking up something strange," Jiwoo said. Her fingers moved fast across her controls. "It is a quantum burst transmission. Very powerful. It is repeating over and over." Hansol put down his coffee. "Can you decrypt it?" "Not yet. It is encrypted in multiple alien languages, maybe 17 different ones. Whoever sent this wanted to make sure someone would understand it." Jiwoo looked worried. "Captain, this feels urgent." Hansol stood up and walked to her station. "Get Dr. Choi up here. We need our language expert." Dr. Haewon Choi arrived 10 minutes later. She was 51 years old and had studied over 300 alien cultures. She was the smartest person Hansol had ever met. She looked at the transmission data and her face went pale. "This is a distress call," she said quietly. "A very desperate one." For 3 hours, Dr. Choi and Jiwoo worked together. They used the ship's computer to break through layer after layer of encryption. The bridge crew watched in silence. Finally, the message played through the speakers. It was translated into human language, but everyone could hear the fear in the original alien voice. "This is the Velkorian sovereignty. We are under attack. The Kralik swarm has entered our system. They are killing us. We have asked the Galactic Assembly for help. They refused. They said we are too far away. They said it is not worth the cost to save us. 12 billion people live on our world. In 3 days we will all be dead. Please, if anyone can hear this message, help us. We are dying. We do not want to die. Please help us." The message ended. Then it started again from the beginning. The same desperate plea, repeating forever into the emptiness of space. The bridge was completely silent. Hansol felt sick. 12 billion people. He tried to imagine that number and could not. It was too big, but he understood what it meant. It meant mothers and fathers, children, old people, artists and teachers and farmers, all of them about to be killed. "What is the Kralik swarm?" Hansol asked. Dr. Choi pulled up information on the main screen. "They are an insectoid species, a hive mind. They travel from planet to planet consuming everything, all resources, all life. They cannot be reasoned with. The Assembly classifies them as an extinction-level threat. And the Assembly will not help these people?" Tae-Yang Lee, the first officer, sounded angry. He was 34 and had left his job teaching at the Assembly Defense Academy because of how they treated human students. He had no patience for bureaucratic cowardice, apparently not, Dr. Choi said sadly. "The Velkorian system is far from Assembly Corps worlds. It has little strategic value. The Assembly has decided these people are acceptable losses." Hansol felt rage building inside him. His younger sister had died 5 years ago in a pirate raid. The Assembly had refused to send help then too. They said it was not their jurisdiction. Hansol had followed the rules. He had waited for permission. By the time permission came, his sister was dead. He had promised himself he would never make that mistake again. "How far away is the Velkorian system?" Hansol asked. Tae-Yang checked his calculations. "At maximum speed, 36 hours. But Captain, we should report this to Terran Command first. Get proper authorization." "How long will authorization take?" Tae-Yang hesitated. "At least 3 days. Maybe a week. You know how the bureaucracy works? The Velkorians do not have 3 days." Hansol looked at his crew. They were all watching him. waiting to see what he would do. If we wait for authorization, 12 billion people will die, Captain Taeyang said carefully. If we go without authorization, we will be court-martialed. They might take away your command. They might imprison you. Hansel smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Then I will be in prison. But I will be in prison knowing I tried to save people instead of letting them die because of paperwork. He touched the communication controls on his chair. This is Captain Han-Sol Kim of the Terran Federation vessel Dauntless. I am broadcasting on all human, military, and civilian channels. We have received a distress call from the Velkorian sovereignty. 12 billion civilians are under attack by the Kralik swarm. The Galactic Assembly has refused to help. I am taking my ship to render aid. I know this violates protocol. I do not care. If any other human vessels want to join me, set course for the Velkorian system. If not, I understand, but I am going. He closed the channel and looked at Taeyang. Set course for the Velkorian system. Maximum speed. Yes, sir. Taeyang's voice was steady now. He agreed with the decision, even if it meant they would all be punished later. As the Dauntless accelerated toward the dying star system, Jiwoo monitored communication channels. After 20 minutes, she spoke. Captain, I am detecting responses to your message. How many ships are changing course to join us? Jiwoo's voice was thick with emotion. 47 vessels, Captain. Cargo ships, exploration vessels, even some civilian transports. They are all coming. Hansol felt something warm spread through his chest. Pride. Hope. His people understood. When someone called for help, you answered. It did not matter if it was legal. It did not matter if it was safe. You answered because it was right, sir, Dr. Choi said quietly. We are not military vessels. We have no real weapons. How are we supposed to fight the Kraliks? Hansol looked at the stars rushing past on the view screen. We are humans, Dr. Choi. We come from a planet that spent millions of years trying to kill us. We learned how to survive anyway. We will figure something out. The crew returned to their duties. They had 36 hours to prepare for a battle they had no real chance of winning. But not one person on the bridge suggested turning back. They were Deathworlders, and Deathworlders did not abandon people who needed help. The 47 human ships met at Rally Point Echo, a field of old debris on the edge of the Velkorian system. Captain Han-Sol Kim stood on the bridge of the Dauntless and looked at the scanner display. The ships that had answered his call were an odd collection. Most were cargo vessels built to carry supplies, not fight battles. A few were exploration ships like his own. 3 were civilian transports that had been evacuating a failed colony. None of them were warships. None of them had real weapons. Hansol felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. These crews had trusted his call. They had come to help strangers. If they died because of his decision, their blood would be on his hands. All vessels are in position, Taeyang Li reported. The first officer looked worried but determined. They are waiting for instructions. Open a channel to all ships, Hansol said. Jiwoo Park activated the communication system. Channel open, sir. Hansol took a deep breath. This is Captain Kim. Thank you all for coming. I know what I am asking of you. We are about to face an enemy that has destroyed hundreds of civilizations. We have no military training. We have no real weapons. Many of us will probably die today. If anyone wants to leave, do it now. No one will think less of you, he waited. 30 seconds passed. Then a minute. Not a single ship moved away from the formation. A new voice came over the channel. It was rough and confident. Captain Kim, this is Captain Dayun's song of the cargo hauler Resilient. I have been running freight across 3 sectors for 20 years. I have outrun pirates, survived engine failures, and flown through meteor storms. I did not come here to run away now. Another voice joined in, calm and steady. This is Dr. Young Jae Hwang of the medical ship Hope's Dawn. I became a doctor to save lives. The Velkorians are dying. That is all I need to know. More voices added themselves. Ship after ship declared they were staying. Hansol felt his throat tighten with emotion. These were good people. Brave people. All right, Hansol said. Then let us figure out how we are going to do this. First Officer Lee, what are we facing? Taeyang brought up scan data on everyone's screens. 16 Kralix bioships are in orbit around the Velkorian homeworld. Each bioship is about the size of a small moon. They are organic, not mechanical. Living vessels. Our sensors also detect millions of smaller organisms on the planet's surface. Those are the swarm warriors. Can we fight them? Someone asked. In a fair fight? No. Taeyang said honestly. They outgun us by hundreds to one. Each bioship has weapons that could destroy any of our vessels with a single shot. If we try to fight them the normal way, we will all be dead in 10 minutes. Silence filled the channel. Then another voice spoke up. It belonged to a woman with a sharp tone. Then we do not fight them the normal way. This is Lieutenant Commander Bora Nam of the patrol ship Warden. I am the only actual military vessel in this fleet. Captain Kim, permission to speak freely? Granted, Hansol said. The Kralix are predictable, Bora said. They follow hive mind tactics. They expect enemies to behave logically, to preserve their ships, to retreat when outmatched. We do the opposite. We act unpredictably. We sacrifice pieces to gain advantages. We make them confused. You mean we act crazy, Captain Song said. There was approval in her voice. Exactly, Bora replied. Taeyang was nodding. It could work. The Kralix have conquered hundreds of species, but all those species were peaceful. They had no experience with real combat. We humans are different. We come from a violent world. We understand violence in a way they do not. A new voice joined the conversation. It was enthusiastic and slightly manic. This is Engineer Jae Sung-yoon of the salvage ship Reclaimer. I have an idea about weapons. I have been collecting alien technology for 20 years. Lots of it is broken, but some of it works. Mining lasers, industrial cutters, magnetic grapples. None of it is military hardware, but all of it can be dangerous if used creatively. Can you share those designs? Han Sol asked. Already transmitting, Jae Sung said happily. Give me 2 hours and I can talk anyone through the modifications. Hope sparked in Han Sol's chest. They were actually planning this. Actually finding ways to fight back. All right. We have limited time. Let us use it well. First Officer Lee. Organize the fleet into 3 groups. Group 1 will be our attackers. Group 2 will provide support and rescue. Group 3 will focus on protecting civilian evacuation ships. For the next 18 hours, the human fleet prepared. Ships that had never worked together learned to coordinate. Crews shared knowledge and equipment. Engineer Yoon moved from vessel to vessel, helping them turn peaceful tools into improvised weapons. Dr. Huang prepared medical facilities and briefed crews on Velcorian biology so they could treat injured aliens. During the preparation, Ji Woo managed to open a communication channel to the Velcorian homeworld. The alien who answered identified himself as Coordinator Velis. He had been managing the planetary evacuation for 3 days without sleep. His voice was exhausted and hopeless. We appreciate that you came, Velis said. But you should not throw away your lives for us. The Kralix cannot be defeated. We have accepted our fate. We have not accepted anything, Jiwoo replied firmly. Humans do not give up. Not on ourselves and not on others. Why? Velis asked. Why do you risk yourselves for strangers? Jiwoo thought about that question. Because our planet tried to kill us every day. We learned that the only way to survive is to help each other. That lesson does not stop at our species. If you are suffering, you are not strangers. You are people who need help. There was a long pause. When Velis spoke again, he was crying. No one has ever said anything like that to us before. Then your species has been talking to the wrong people, Jiwoo said gently. As the final hour approached, Hansol gathered his senior officers in the briefing room. Taeyang, Jiwoo, Dr. Choi, and Chief Engineer Sungmin Kang sat around the table. Sungmin was 42, practical and skilled. He could fix almost anything. He also had 3 daughters back home on Earth Colony Sejong 3. I need you all to understand something, Hansol said quietly. We might not come back from this. If anyone wants to transfer to one of the support ships, now is the time. Sungmin spoke first. Captain, I have 3 girls at home. I think about them every day. But I also think about what kind of father I want to be. I want them to know their father stood up for people who could not stand up for themselves. So I am staying. The others nodded in agreement. They were all staying. Hansol felt pride swell in his chest. Then let us go save some lives. The fleet formed up in their assigned groups. The attack vessels moved to the front. Support ships held back. Medical vessels prepared their emergency facilities. Everyone knew their role. Everyone accepted the risks. Hansol opened the fleet-wide channel one more time. All ships, this is Captain Kim. In a few minutes, we are going to do something that has never been done before. We are going to show the galaxy that Deathworlders are not monsters. We are protectors. We are the ones who answer when others cry for help. Whatever happens today, be proud. Now let us go to work. 47 ships accelerated toward the Velkorian homeworld, toward 16 bioships that outgunned them completely, toward a battle they had no business winning. But they went anyway because that was what humans did. They went anyway because 12 billion people needed them. They went anyway because some things were worth dying for. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Velkorian system. Immediately, every alarm on every ship began screaming. The Kralix bioships were massive, dark, and terrifying. They looked like enormous insects made of black metal and purple flesh. Weapons bristled from their surfaces. They surrounded the beautiful blue-green planet like vultures waiting for death. All ships scatter formation, Captain Hansol Kim ordered. Make them think we are running away. The human vessels spread out in a pattern that looked panicked and disorganized. It was actually carefully planned. First Officer Taeyang Lee had designed it to draw the Kralix away from the planet. If the bioships stayed in orbit, the humans had no chance. They needed to split the enemy forces. It worked. 6 of the 16 bioships broke orbit and accelerated toward the human fleet. To the Kralix hive mind, these small ships were no threat. They were prey, easy to kill. The hive mind did not understand that humans were never easy prey. Here they come, Jiwoo Park said from her communication station. 6 bioships on intercept course. Perfect, Taeyang said. He opened a channel to the cargo ship Resilient. Captain Song, you are up. Understood, Captain Da-Yun Song replied. It has been an honor serving with you all. The Resilient suddenly changed course. Instead of running away, it turned and accelerated directly toward the nearest bioship. The cargo vessel picked up speed, going faster and faster. The Kralix did not understand what was happening. Nothing in their 5,000 years of conquest had prepared them for this. Prey animals did not attack. Prey animals ran. But humans were not like other species. Humans had learned long ago that sometimes the only way to survive was to fight back, even when fighting seemed impossible. The Resilient smashed into the bioship at tremendous speed. Captain Song had aimed for a weak point that Taeyang had identified in the scans. The cargo ship's reinforced hull punched deep into the bioship's interior. At the last second before impact, Song and her entire crew ejected in escape pods. The Resilient's reactor exploded inside the bioship. The massive alien vessel shuddered, its weapons went dark, and it began to drift. Dead or dying, the first Kralix vessel had fallen. Yes, someone shouted over the fleet channel. Stay focused, Hansol commanded. Medical ships recover Captain Song's crew. Attack group, move to Phase 2. The remaining 5 bioships that had left orbit suddenly stopped advancing. For several seconds, they simply floated in space, motionless. Jiwoo monitored the alien communications and heard something she had never heard before. The hive mind was confused. They do not understand what we did, Jiwoo reported. They are trying to figure out why we would sacrifice a ship. Because we care more about winning than surviving, Taeyang said grimly. That makes us dangerous. The battle became chaos. The human ships split into small groups and attacked from different directions. Nothing they did followed normal military tactics. Engineer Jae Sung-yoon's salvage ship Reclaimer used magnetic grapples to tear chunks of armor off a bioship, then threw those chunks at another bioship like missiles. Lieutenant Commander Bora Nam's patrol ship Warden positioned itself between 3 bioships and fired everything it had, forcing them to waste energy shooting at a single small target. The Kralix kept trying to adapt. They changed their attack patterns. They tried to surround individual human ships, but every time they thought they understood what the humans would do next, the humans did something completely different. The hive mind could not predict creatures that acted on emotion and instinct rather than pure logic. Hours passed. The battle raged across the star system. Ships were damaged, ships were destroyed. Hansol watched as the transport vessel Morningstar took a direct hit and broke apart. 30 people died in seconds. He forced himself to keep giving orders. There would be time to grieve later. Right now, he had to keep fighting. Dr. Young Jae Hwang's medical ship Hope's Dawn moved through the battle debris, rescuing survivors. Her crew pulled injured people from destroyed vessels, both human and even wounded Kralix warriors that had been blown into space. Some of Hansol's crew questioned why they were saving enemy soldiers. Dr. Hwang's response was simple. I am a doctor. I save lives. I do not care whose lives they are. Chief Engineer Sungmin Kang made a crucial discovery 4 hours into the battle. Captain, the bioships are getting weaker. Their weapons are not firing as often. Their movements are slower. Why? Hansol asked. I think the hive mind is diverting resources to the ground assault, Sung-min explained. They are still trying to consume the planet while fighting us. They cannot do both effectively. Tae-yang's eyes went wide. That is their weakness. The Kraliks do not know how to retreat. They only understand consume or die. If we threaten the bioships in orbit enough, the hive mind will have to recall the ground forces to protect them. How do we threaten them enough? Jiwoo asked. Tae-yang pulled up a tactical display. We form a wall. Every ship we have left positions itself between the bioships and their escape route to deep space. We make them think we will destroy every single one of them before we let them leave. We make them choose between staying to consume the planet or fleeing to preserve the hive. And if they choose to fight through us? Hansol asked. Then we all die, Tae-yang said honestly. But we take as many of them with us as we can. Hansol looked around his bridge. His crew was exhausted. Many were injured. But no one looked like they wanted to give up. He opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Captain Kim. We are going to do something insane. We are going to make the Kraliks afraid of us. He explained the plan. There was silence on the channel when he finished. Then Captain Song's voice came through. She had been recovered by a medical ship and was still alive. Captain Kim, my ship is gone, but I am not. Give me a weapon and put me on any vessel that will have me. Let us finish this, other voices joined in. Damaged ships volunteered to be the front line. Medical ships repositioned to support the formation. Even Engineer Yoon, whose salvage ship was barely holding together, moved into position. 23 human ships formed a wall in space. They were damaged, low on power, held together by emergency repairs and sheer determination, but they held their position. Behind them was the only safe route out of the system. The Kraliks bioships would have to go through them or stay and be picked apart slowly. For the first time in 5,000 years of conquest, the Kraliks' hive mind experienced something it had no word for: fear. These tiny creatures would not run, would not surrender. They would accept total destruction rather than move aside. The hive mind could not comprehend this level of commitment. Jiwoo suddenly sat up straight. Captain, I am detecting massive movement on the planet's surface. The swarm warriors are retreating. They are returning to the bioships. Hansol felt hope surge through him. Confirm that. Confirmed, Jiwoo said, her voice shaking with emotion. The Kraliks are withdrawing from the planet. They are choosing to preserve the hive. The bioships began moving away from the Valkorian homeworld, but they did not try to break through the human formation. Instead, they fled in a different direction, willing to take a longer route to deep space rather than face the Deathworlders who refused to move. They are running away, someone whispered in disbelief. We won, Tae-yang said quietly. We actually won. Hansol opened a channel to Coordinator Velis on the planet's surface. Coordinator, this is Captain Kim. The Kraliks are retreating. Your people are safe. There was a long pause. Then Velis spoke, his voice broken with sobs. You did it. You actually did it. You saved us. Hansol closed his eyes and let himself feel the weight of what they had accomplished. 12 billion people were alive because a group of civilians in cargo ships and exploration vessels had refused to accept that some lives did not matter. They had won. But as he looked at the list of destroyed ships and dead crew members, Hansol knew the victory had cost them dearly. Captain Hansol Kim stood in the memorial hall of the Dauntless and read names. 147 humans had died in the battle. Each name was displayed on the wall with their picture and their home. He forced himself to look at every face. These people had trusted him. They had followed his orders. Now they were dead. Captain, First Officer Tae-yang Lee said gently behind him, the Valkorian government has invited us to the surface. They want to thank us. Hansol did not turn around. How many ships did we lose completely? 14 destroyed with all hands. Another 14 damaged beyond repair, though most crews survived. 19 vessels are operational but need significant repairs. Hansol finally turned to face his first officer. Tae-yang looked as exhausted as Hansol felt. We saved 12 billion people. We lost 147 doing it. Is that a good trade? That is not how we should think about it, Tae-yang said. Every person who died made their own choice to be here. They knew the risks. They came anyway. Does that make it easier? Hansol asked. No, Tae-yang admitted, but it makes it meaningful. The shuttle ride to the Valkorian homeworld was quiet. Hansol brought Tae-yang, Communications Officer Jiwoo Park, Dr. Haewon Choi, and several other ship captains. As they descended through the atmosphere, they saw cities that looked like living sculptures, graceful towers that curved like flower stems, buildings that seemed to grow from the ground rather than being built on it. The Velkorians were an artistic people. Their world was beautiful. It was also scarred. Dark patches marked where Kralix warriors had burned everything they touched. Whole sections of cities were damaged or destroyed. But the planet was alive. The people had survived. Millions of Velkorians filled the capital square. They were tall and thin, with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their large eyes showed deep emotion. When the human shuttle landed, the crowd went completely silent. Then as one, every Velkorian in the square dropped to their knees and bowed their heads. Hansol felt uncomfortable. "Tell them to stand up," he said to Jiwoo. "We are not gods. We are just people." Jiwoo spoke in the Velkorian language, which he had been learning during the trip down. Slowly the crowd stood, but their eyes never left the humans. Eyes full of gratitude and wonder and something else. Guilt. Coordinator Velis approached the group. He had finally slept and looked more alert, but his eyes were red from crying. "Captain Kim, I do not have words to thank you. The Galactic Assembly abandoned us. They said we were not worth saving. But you came anyway. You and your people risked everything for strangers." "We did what anyone should do," Hansol said simply. "But no one else did," Velis said. "For 50 years, the Assembly has called your people Deathworlders. They used it like an insult. Like you were primitive and violent and dangerous. I believed them. I am ashamed of that now." Dr. Choi stepped forward. "We are from a death world. Our planet is harsh and dangerous, but that harshness taught us to value life, to protect each other, to never give up on those who suffer." "Then Deathworlder is not an insult," Velis said firmly. "It is an honor." The celebration lasted for hours. The Velkorians shared their art, their music, their food. They told stories of their history and culture. Hansol found himself relaxing slightly. These were good people. Peaceful people. They had done nothing to deserve what almost happened to them. But later that evening, Dr. Young Jae Hwang brought up something that made everyone uncomfortable. The medical officer had stayed in orbit treating wounded, but she joined them on the planet via video call. "Captain, we need to discuss the Kralix warriors stranded on the surface." "What about them?" Captain Dalian Song asked. She had survived the destruction of her ship and was eager to discuss anything other than celebration. "They are enemies. They tried to kill us all. They are dying," Dr. Hwang said bluntly. "When the bioships fled, they left behind millions of warriors. Those warriors are cut off from the hive mind's supply network. They are starving. They are in pain. They are suffering." "Good," someone muttered. "Is it good?" Dr. Hwang challenged. "We came here to save lives. Now we are going to watch millions of beings die slowly and painfully? How does that make us better than the assembly that abandoned the Velkorians?" "The Kralix are not innocent victims," Lieutenant Commander Bo Ranam said. "They chose to attack. They would have killed every Velkorian if we had not stopped them." "Did they choose?" Dr. Choi asked quietly. "The Kralix are a hive mind. Individual warriors have no free will. They follow biological programming. They are more like tools than soldiers. Can we blame a sword for cutting or a fire for burning?" The room fell silent. Hansol thought about this problem. Part of him agreed with Captain Song and Commander Nam. The Kralix had tried to commit genocide. They deserved no mercy, but another part of him heard Dr. Hwang's voice asking how they were different from the assembly, if they let beings suffer when they could help. "What are you proposing?" Hansol asked Dr. Hwang. "We offer the stranded warriors a choice," Dr. Hwang said. "Surrender and we will treat them humanely. Give them food, medical care, and eventually transport them to a designated Kralix world. Or they can choose to die fighting. But we do not let them starve slowly. That is cruelty, not justice." "The Velkorians will not like this," Coordinator Velis said. He had been listening quietly. "My people are angry. They want revenge." "I understand," Dr. Hwang said. "But revenge is not the same as justice. And cruelty is not the same as strength." Hansol made his decision. "We will offer the Kralix surrender terms. Dr. Hwang is right. We did not come here to become executioners. We came to save lives. That includes enemy lives if they choose to stop fighting." Not everyone agreed. Several ship captains argued against showing mercy to the Kralix. But Hansol held firm. He knew this decision would be controversial. He knew some humans would think he was weak. But he also knew that the choices you make after winning are just as important as the choices you make during the battle. The next morning, something unexpected happened. An assembly military fleet jumped into the system. 200 warships bearing the symbol of the Galactic Assembly Defense Force. At the head of the fleet was Admiral Quelix, a member of a species classified as peaceful herbivores. He immediately sent an angry message to Captain Kim. Captain Kim, you have violated assembly protocols. You engaged in military action without authorization. You have interfered in matters that are not your concern. I am placing you and your fellow commanders under arrest. Tae-Yang Lee responded before Han Sol could speak. His voice was ice cold. Admiral, you are 4 days late to a genocide you refused to prevent. Captain Kim saved 12 billion lives while your fleet sat safely in assembly space. You should be thanking him, not threatening him. Watch your tone, Commander, Admiral Quelix snapped. You do not understand the complexities of galactic politics. Sometimes difficult decisions must be made for the greater good. The greater good, Han Sol repeated slowly. Admiral, 12 billion people almost died because you decided their lives were not worth the political complexity of saving them. If that is what the Assembly calls the greater good, then maybe the Assembly is wrong. Coordinator Velas sent his own message to the Admiral. The humans saved us when you abandoned us. If you try to arrest them, the Velkorian sovereignty will withdraw from the Galactic Assembly. We will not remain part of an organization that punishes heroes for doing what you refuse to do. Admiral Quelix ended the communication without responding. But Han Sol knew this was not over. The Assembly would not forget what happened here. The humans had broken their rules. They had proven that the Assembly's way was not the only way, and that made them dangerous. That night, Ji-Woo found Han Sol standing alone looking at the stars. Captain, do you regret what we did? Han Sol thought about the 147 people who died. He thought about the destroyed ships and the injured survivors. He thought about the political trouble they had caused. Then he thought about 12 billion Velkorians who were alive because of what they had done. No, he said finally, I do not regret it. I regret the cost. I regret the deaths. But I do not regret the choice. Some things are worth fighting for, Ji-Woo. The question is whether you can live with yourself if you do not fight. Ji-Woo nodded. Then we made the right choice. Yes, Han Sol agreed. But I think the fight is just beginning. 3 months after the battle, Captain Han Sol Kim returned to Earth. The surviving ships of the fleet were greeted like heroes. Massive crowds filled every space station and orbital platform. People cheered and waved signs. Children wore shirts with pictures of the Dauntless. It should have felt good. Instead, Han Sol felt hollow. Chief Engineer Sung-Min Kang had decided not to return to active duty. Han Sol visited him on the colony of Sejong 3, where Sung-Min lived with his 3 daughters. The engineer looked tired but peaceful. His youngest daughter, only 8 years old, hugged Han Sol's leg and thanked him for bringing her father home. I cannot do it again, Sung-Min said quietly while his daughters played in the yard. I cannot risk leaving them without a father. I hope you understand, Captain. I understand completely, Han Sol said. You gave more than most people ever will. Your daughters are lucky to have you. Several other crew members had made similar choices. They transferred to safer positions or retired completely. Han Sol did not blame any of them. What they had experienced would haunt them for years. Communications Officer Ji-Woo Park struggled with anxiety and nightmares. She saw a counselor twice a week and was slowly learning to process what she had witnessed. But she stayed on the Dauntless. When Han Sol asked why, she said simply, because the work is not finished. She was right. The work was not finished. It was just beginning. Within the Galactic Assembly, the rescue of the Velkorians had caused a massive political crisis. The Council of Elders tried to censure humanity. They passed resolutions condemning the unauthorized military action. They argued that humans had acted recklessly and set a dangerous precedent. But their words rang hollow. Everyone knew the truth. The humans had saved 12 billion lives that the Assembly had abandoned. 63 member species formed a voting bloc, demanding change. Led by the Velkorians, they proposed something called the Protection Accord. The idea was simple. Any species facing extinction had the right to request aid. Any species willing to provide that aid must be supported, not punished. The debate in the Assembly became fierce. Some species supported the humans. Others feared them. First Officer Tae-Yang Lee was invited to testify before the Council of Elders. Han Sol watched the broadcast from Earth. Taeyang stood before 700 representatives from 700 different worlds. He looked small and human and completely unafraid. "You fear us," Taeyang said bluntly. "I understand why. We come from a violent world. We are comfortable with conflict in ways that disturb you, but your fear has made you passive. You have built a civilization that is very good at talking and very bad at acting. The Valkorians almost died because you spent too much time debating and not enough time helping. We are a civilization of laws," one elder said stiffly. "We cannot simply ignore protocols." "Your protocols almost allowed genocide," Taeyang replied. "Maybe your protocols need to change. Civilization requires more than laws. It requires courage. It requires being willing to do hard things for good reasons. You have forgotten that." The council did not like his words, but they could not argue with his point. The humans had done what the assembly could not. And that fact was spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had never spoken to humans before began reaching out. The Valkorians established a formal alliance with Earth, sharing their advanced scanning technology and manufacturing capabilities. 6 other species requested human tactical advisors to help develop their own defense forces. Lieutenant Commander Bora Nam suddenly found herself overwhelmed with requests from alien militaries wanting to learn human combat strategies. Engineer Jae Sung-yoon became famous across multiple sectors. His improvised weapon designs were studied by species that had never built weapons before. Universities invited him to lecture. Military academies wanted him to teach. He turned down most offers, preferring to stay on his salvage ship. But he did share his knowledge freely with anyone who asked. Dr. Young Jae Hwang joined the crew of the Dauntless permanently, bringing her medical ship Hope's Dawn into what was becoming a larger movement. When Han Sol asked why she wanted to stay in such a dangerous position, she smiled. "Captain, as long as people suffer, I have work to do. And something tells me there will be more people who need our help." She was right. 8 months after the Valkorian rescue, another distress signal reached human space. This time it came from the Myrtalan Concordat, a species of researchers and scientists. They were peaceful, curious, and completely unprepared for war. The Kralix had returned, attacking a different target. The swarm had learned from its defeat and was using new tactics. Ambassador Ji-Hai Shin, the human representative to the Galactic Assembly, sent Han Sol a private message. She was in her 60s, wise and experienced. Her warning was clear. "Captain, if you respond to this distress call, the Assembly will expel humanity permanently. They are looking for an excuse to remove us. This will give it to them." Han Sol gathered his senior officers to discuss the situation. They met in the same briefing room where they had planned the Valkorian rescue. The weight of the decision pressed on everyone. "If we go, we lose our place in the Assembly," Taeyang said. "We become outsiders. That has economic consequences, political consequences. It could isolate Earth for generations." "And if we do not go?" Dr. Choi asked. "The Myrtalans die, just like the Valkorians would have died. It is not our responsibility to save every species in the galaxy," someone argued. "Maybe not," Jiwoo said quietly. "But if we have the ability to help and choose not to, what does that make us? How are we different from the Assembly that abandoned the Valkorians?" The room fell silent. Han Sol knew what he wanted to do, but this was bigger than him. This decision would affect all of humanity. He needed to be sure. Then Jiwoo pulled up something on her display. "Captain, you should see this." "I have been monitoring communication channels. 117 ships from 42 different species have already declared they will respond to the Myrtalan distress call. They are asking if we will lead them." Han Sol stared at the data. Ships from dozens of alien species, many of whom had been afraid of humans just months ago, were now asking to fight alongside them. Something had changed. The humans had shown the galaxy a different way, and others wanted to follow that path. "We are not alone anymore," Dr. Choi said with wonder in her voice. "No," Han Sol agreed. "We are not," he made his decision. "We go, but we do this properly. We formalize what we are building. We create something that operates outside Assembly authority but within Assembly law, a coalition of species who believe in active protection, not passive observation." "What would we call it?" Taeyang asked. "The Vanguard Alliance," Han Sol said. "We are the ones who go first into danger. The ones who answer distress calls when no one else will. The ones who protect those who cannot protect themselves." Dr. Choi looked concerned. "That name sounds militaristic." It might frighten people. Good, Taeyang said. Let it frighten the Kraliks and anyone else who thinks they can commit genocide without consequences. Let it give hope to everyone else. The formation of the Vanguard Alliance was announced simultaneously on Earth and 41 other worlds. The statement was simple. Any verified distress call from a species facing extinction would receive a response. No political considerations, no debates about strategic value. If someone called for help, the Vanguard would answer. The Galactic Assembly was furious. They called it a rogue military organization. They threatened sanctions. But they could not stop it. Too many species had joined. Too many civilians supported the idea. The Assembly had lost moral authority and everyone knew it. The fleet that gathered to save the Myrtilons was larger and more diverse than the one that had saved the Valkorians. 117 ships from 42 species. They had learned from the previous battle. They coordinated better. They had actual weapons now, not just improvised tools, and they had something else. They had purpose. Before the fleet departed, Captain Da-Un Song sent Han Sol a message. She had been given command of a new cargo vessel to replace the Resilient. Captain Kim, I have been thinking about what we are doing, about what it means. My whole life the galaxy told me that peace meant avoiding conflict at all costs. But you taught me something different. Sometimes peace requires fighting for it. Sometimes the only way to protect innocent lives is to stand between them and the monsters. Han Sol smiled as he read her words. Song understood. They all understood now. The Deathworlders had shown the galaxy a hard truth. Civilization was not built on laws alone. It was built on the willingness to defend those laws. To fight for them when necessary. To protect the weak from the strong. As the Vanguard Alliance fleet prepared to jump to the Myrtilon system, Han Sol opened a channel to all vessels. This is Captain Kim. We go now to do something difficult. We go to face an enemy that has adapted to our tactics. Some of us will not return, but we go anyway because the Myrtilons asked for help, and we are the ones who answer. 117 ships jumped to faster than light speed. Behind them, the galaxy watched and waited. The age of passive observation was ending. The age of the Vanguard was beginning, and it had all started because one human captain decided that some things mattered more than following rules.